Welcome everyone. In the next session of environmental impact assessment, today we will mainly focus and talk about what are the stages and steps through which we can do. We can analyze the whole project related to road, traffic, transportation, railway, building, any type of project through in which we would like to analyze and assess its environmental impact and what are its stages. Okay. So at the moment there is lack of consensus that which is the best approach that could be applied for conducting of EIA, while most of the people believe if the approach is practical and cost effective, which is basically the best, which is the kind of the core objective of EIA. So on the base of those empirical evidence which is collecting for the for the before evaluating and developing of any project, we would like to write a complete documentation reports. But to reach to that final level, there are few steps which we should follow. Okay. So today we will talk about those steps and stages. So those are the 8 basic steps which we will follow in the EIA, which are very much important. Without those steps, we cannot evaluate any type of project, such as preliminary activities. What are the activities which should be performed before reached the EIA, which we already a little bit discussed before as well, in terms of the preliminary design or investigation, or which we could also call it the desk study as well. What are the impact of identification? How we identify those steps? How we do the scoping? What is basically scoping? What is purpose of scoping? What is the baseline study, how we quantify the and evaluate those impacts which could apply before or after or developing or during developing of the same project, and how we can mitigate, what are the remedial measure through which we can control, we can save environment, how we assess, how we do the comparison between different alternatives. If there are multiple decision makers, multiple kind of authoritative bodies, we can also use the MCDM, HP, and so on. Okay, and how we write the documentation, and after documentation, when we submit the same document to any of your institutional boss, how before making he do the post auditing, and how he can make sure that what you have done is correct. Okay, so now we will go step by step. The very first step in the preliminary activities, uh, which could be taken in consideration, which include identification of the question which should be answered before an EIA can start. So the first one is you have to identify that who is a decision maker. Okay, if it's a environmental protection agency, environmental impact assessment agency, or local administration, kind of the stakeholder. So decision maker will always vary from project to project. Second part is select a coordinator. If you are working at the designer end, or uh, at the person who is basically conducting and evaluating the EIA survey, so then you should select your resource person. The third one is that we should decide on work allocation, because it is not a single person task, which should be done in the layer to eliminate the chances of mistakes. Fourth part is that how we can write a different description in terms of to propose different action. For example, if there is a factory which is producing so much carbon monoxide, so but the same factory is also playing a very huge role in the country's stability and the economy, which is kind of the source of engine for the whole country economy. So in such type of condition, what type of actions you could propose to reduce the same carbon monoxide uh, effects. And the last part is how we can exercise or what kind of legislation or rules and laws we have and what kind of updated version we actually needed. So those are all the steps which we should consider in the preliminary activities. The next part is about that how we can identify the different impacts. Okay, so scoping is basically the analysis through which we would like to see the possible impacts of a project with a view to identify those impacts which may be worthy, which are worthy for a detailed study. Okay, keep in mind two things, that for any scoping study, we need in kind of a list of all possible impacts, which is the also we should carefully examine the manageable number of important impacts which should be selected for the study. Okay, so but along with that specific checklist, there are few other tasks which is completely based on the impact study, which we call such as, for example, magnitude, extent, significant, and special sensitivity analysis. So magnitude is actually refers to the quantum of change that will be experienced. A change of greater magnitude would be, for example, if the aim of any project is to kind of increase the town population, in other word, the measure level of environmental parameter will be will be twice that it was before. So this is the magnitude where the population is increased by a factor of 2. So it means that magnitude of 2. Okay. Second part is extent. The extent is an impact which is referred to the area which may be affected. The pollution of the whole bay would be considered extensive, whereas the population of localized area would not be so. The next part is about significance. So how much uh, impact look beyond the magnitude to which the actual effects could possibly, for like such as if there is a if the through magnitude we basically would like to determine the which parameters or species or, for example, level of oxygen in water, etc., which through which we would like to define the significance of the certain entity. The next part is about special sensitivity. This is a region specific, which could be vary from region to region, from continent to continent, such as different region of the globe have concern of different ways in sensitivity analysis and environmental sensitivity. So, for example, if we talk about South Asia, so their maximum sensitivity analysis would maybe kind of air pollution and uh, kind of, so like for example for the underdeveloping country, for the developing country, that's the same sensitivity analysis, maybe how they can reform from the kind of conventional ways of producing things towards sustainability. Third part is about baseline study. Okay, so baseline study is again kind of divided in the two or three phases. So baseline study is simply a record of the existed area where the same project or the action could be performed. So baseline data collection help establish benchmark for the future. During scoping, most of the important impact would have been identified, since interest would be concentrated mostly on those impacts. So logical measure of the baseline of those environmental parameter which they may. Okay. So the baseline for the same planning survey should flow naturally from the short list of impact, which is the output of the scoping exercise. last one is about the list of impact with a view to scoping exercise. So it means that kind of if we would like to elaborate it in a most journal way, so it must be developed through the study of existing documents and supplemented by field survey. Next part is that how we can quantify the different impacts of any project on the to analyze and evaluate EIA. The quantification of impact is the most difficult and technical aspects, okay, in the EIA, which is also most controversial aspect because it is very hard to define that what are the technical aspects and what are the complex, because all those aspects could be vary from person to person, from mind to mind, and from expert to expert. So generally agreed that the quantitative change due to an impact should be computed or evaluated wherever possible. At present, the technology which does not permit or allow quantification to analyze and evaluate all the impact, the bone of contention gets stuck with those changes, which can't be quantified. One approach to deal with such changes would be ignore them, or maybe ignore all of them together. Okay, and we also determine that what are the level of uncertainty in the same project through quantitative approach. Next part is about mitigation measures or remedial measures. So at this stage, we would like to eliminate the adverse effect or impact of the action, which is sometime not possible. However, it is quite feasible to reduce its intensity. This reduction in its intensity is referred to the mitigation or remedial measure. Such measures may be vary from different engineering perspectives, such as dust collectors, sludge, noise, or through management practices such as crop rotation, phased plant down. All those are the measure through which we would like to associate the cost and also would like to find the alternative way to reduce its adverse effect. Okay. And also here, different alternative would also be proposed. For example, you cannot give a penalty to anyone straight away. So you should, the decision maker, they should always come with alternative, and those alternatives should be based on the short-term approach as well as on the long-term approach. So sometimes we have the higher cost and lower level of pollution, but sometimes we have the higher level of pollution and lower cost of the production. So you should consider all those parameters. And then all those mitigation measures which the decision maker have suggested, they should be associated or transformed in terms of a cost, that how they can kind of recover or rebuild the part of environment they have destroyed. Next part is about assessment or how we can compare different alternatives. This part is very much important whenever you have a different decision maker or different kind of, you can call them the different people who can make a decision. So the first part is how we can summarize the positive and negative impact. Okay, during this study, all the technical information gained during study or during survey could be pulled together. During this stage, the environmental cost have gained in combined with the economic cost, along with the such type of benefits through which a clear and elaborate picture of any project alternative can be drawn. So we have two basic parts. The first one is called summary of economic cost and benefits, and the next part is about summary of economic cost, summary of positive and negative environmental impact. Okay, so the simple approach to compare alternative across both the economic and environmental fronts is the cost benefit analysis, which we also call CBA. To do this, the environmental impact must be converted into economic equivalents, such as there should be a different list of the cost, there should be a different list of the uh, benefits, there should be different list of the environmental benefits and also environmental cost as well. So one attraction of that specific approach is most of the decision maker are quite well familiar with the economic terminology, but least with the environmental terms. So for most of the for the economist, they cannot transform, they cannot even translate the damage of uh, environmental uh, negative impact, or they cannot analyze it. With the economist, there should be environmentalist which could reach to kind of a common ground before to propose any type of a alternative. So the last part is about how we can analyze quantitative and qualitative analysis for any type of a research. So qualitative research or data usually deals with the number and statistic, while qualitative research deals with the words and meaning. So which allows you to systematically measure different variable and also test hypothesis as well. Qualitative method allows you to explore different concept and expressions in more detail. Okay. The last part is about that before to construct a document and also translate those 6 stages which we have done. So the last part is about documentation. Documentation is again divided into 2 parts. One is called reference document, another one is called working document. EIA document falls in those two different portions. Uh, the one which contain the detailed record of the work done in EIA, which is necessary for the future references, those letters are called the working document, or those document which could convey information for the immediate action. But if we talk about reference documents are the technical audience, is for designed for the technical audience. This document may include person working on future of EIA, expert, different persons studying for any type of a project, before or after program it has been implemented. Okay. So it is full of different chart, graph, and technical calculation can also be found in the reference document. While reference document may be of a series of report where each one is addressing one or more than one impact, or they may be one long kind of report containing all those information. Okay, the writing of reference document should be parallel. So the reference document and working document should support each other. Basically, both documents, one is the working one is in a more descriptive form, while reference one support the working document. But without reference, working document is not cannot be considered complete. Okay. So as you can see here in the reference document, we mainly focus on the different detailed record of the work which is already done in the different field parts, while it is again connected with the is used for the technical audience, and also different reports, chart, graph, etc., which contain all this information. But for the working document, it also convey information for the immediate action, means that this is the more conclusive one, and also suggests the different alternative analysis for any project as well. The last part is decision making and post editing. Okay, so post editing part is basically seek or looking for the to assess, to analyze the accuracy, the how much they are correct for such kind of prediction. Because in the last part in the documentation where we said that there are two types of a document, working and reference document. Those documents, for example, if different people write all those documents for a same project, it could be vary because different people have different mindset. The next part is that how we make a decision to predict the environmental impact and transform them in the economic terms of a project prior to their development, and also to provide the different alternative and mitigation and remedial measure as well to save the environment. Thank you very much. If anyone have any suggestion how to improve, please get back. This is my official channel. You can just search through YouTube with the name Professor Dr. Asim Farooq. You can find different type of a playlist, as you can see here, starting from a research methodology, sustainable planning, road design, railway design, and so on. Okay, structure design, steel design, structure, and so on. So you can just go to the playlist and you can reach, you can listen, you can learn all those lectures. Uh, this